Tyron is a Sylveon. He is recognized for his pink fur and ribbon-like appendages, and was sometimes even made fun of for his flamboyant and rather girly appearance. He has a very kind heart and is always willing to make friends with other denizens of the forest, and wakes up in the morning to hope that he will meet somebody new. And on this particular day, he will meet someone special indeed. He walks over to a small pond and starts to lap up the water out of it when he sees that he was not by himself. He looks up to a nearby Eevee, who was looking down at his own reflection in the water, looking like he was on the verge of tears. Tyron felt a wave of sympathy wash over him at the sad sight, and insidiously approaches the Eevee to console the poor child. The Eevee was noticeably thin, looking a bit like a scarecrow, as if he was not used to being on his own. He once had a home life with his once loving trainer long ago, but as he found out firsthand, what can be given to him can just be easily taken away. He was left on his own to rot in the woods, and none of it was even his own fault. But the Eevee slowly but surely began to at least accept his lonely disposition, being very modest in nature. The Eevee reaches out to touch his reflection image, which further ripples and distorts his own image to his own liking. He can't understand why he's kept away from having an owner, a home, a friend. Somewhere not too far away, he could hear approaching footsteps, but he naturally ignored them, as if he didn't notice. After all, why would anyone want to see him? That was when he suddenly sees another Pokemon, casted into the reflection directly behind him with a gentle, sympathetic voice to follow. "Hello, little one. What's your name?" The Eevee turned around to quickly reply, but casted his head down. Loneliness. The Sylveon gives a confused frown at the very abnormal name. Loneliness? He quickly recovers and offers us another warm, fresh smile. "That's a nice name. What are you doing in a big forest like this? There's a lot of bigger or hungrier Pokemon around here who would want to get you in a heartbeat." He looks over the Eevee's fur closely, seeing the tear-stained pelt around his eyes and the matted, unkempt fur everywhere else. "Oh, you poor thing. Where are your parents?" he asks sweetly, but behind his grin, he was secretly dreading the answer. "Well," the Eevee who introduced himself as Loneliness began, "if they would like to dine on my worthless flesh, they most certainly can." He lets out a miserable sigh. "I've been on my own for the past few years, neglected by my own trainer who just had to be thrown away like a broken toy." Warm tears started to fall from the Eevee's cheeks. Tyron was utterly shocked at the strong words, his mouth opening agape with his own tears now forming around his eyes. He reached out to the Eevee with a ribbon tendril, rubbing his back. Oh, my Arceus. Child, how could you think of yourself like that? Everyone is special and has their own place in this world. No one is more useless than the other." The Eevee illusion lies down on his stomach to get to eye level with a smaller Pokemon, with tears still in his eyes, but an honest, small smile returning to his cheeks. "You are special, Loneliness. No one else can tell you differently." The Eevee's tears finally made their way to the ground, which stains the grass in a dark red color. As it turns out, the poor creature was cursed, but it tries to deny it. He looks at the other Pokemon and shakes his head. "But I have no place. I serve no purpose. It is a sin for me to be alive. I am special for all the wrong reasons." At this point, Tyron couldn't take it anymore, and takes the pitiable creature into a hug. Who returns the embrace weeping. Tyron would ignore the stained grass and whimpering openly into his words. "Please don't say that, Loneliness. You're not a sin. You are a beautiful creature that deserves as much love as anyone else. I won't let you think you are Okay, let's try that again. I won't let you think you're hated by everyone else. I don't hate you. He looks into the child's eyes. That counts, right? Tyron closes his eyes and puts his forehead into loneliness and whispers, Please accept my words. The Eevee continued to cry for a full minute. No more, no less. He tries to control the flood of different emotions flowing through him. Sorrow, relief, and most of all, dreaded fear. But has difficulty controlling himself. The kind words from the other male made him feel like he actually matters in his pinnable existence for once in his life. Like he was not some sort of... I am so itchy. Like he was not some sort of plague that he wouldn't want to believe. He opens his eyes slowly and nuzzles the generous creature. The first and only friend he's had in years. The Sylveon is more than excited. The Sylveon is more excited. The Sylveon is more than excited. The Sylveon is more than excited to see that he's gotten the thin boy and smiles widely. Let's try that again. The Sylveon is more than excited to see that he's gotten to the thin boy and smiles widely. Let's try that again. Let me scroll down just in case. No. There we go. The Sylveon is more than excited to see that he's gotten to the thin boy and smiles widely, and happily nuzzles him back. Loneliness, stay with me, please. Stay with me, and I will love you as much as I can. I will make sure you will never feel sad again, he said, looking down to the little one under... Bleh. He said, looking down to the little one under him. Loneliness looks up at him. Stay? He couldn't finish his sentence, not knowing how. Love him? Never be sad again? Those words seemed to be foreign to him now, not believing them to be true. He looks at the older male to see if he would... He looks at the older male to see if he would turn out to be pulling his leg. But his expression... He looks at the older male to see if he... He looks at the older male to see if he would turn out to be pulling his leg. But his expression, his tone of voice were genuine. He stares at the creature in silence before his... He stares at the creature in silence before his eyes lit up and kisses his newfound friend's nose. Tyron is overcome with joy at the Eevee's small kiss and starts to lick the little Eevee's face repeatedly. Loneliness closes his eyes and smiles for the first time in years. as his face is licked, and... Is that a Percy? Loneliness closes... La 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 la. Loneliness closes his eyes and smiles for the first time in years as his face is being licked, and... Is that a purr he's letting out? Thank you, Lonely. Thank you for accepting me. I know you won't regret it. He pulls him into another embrace, rubbing his strapping belly with his ribbons. After what seemed like hours for this hug, he let him go and looked at the Eevee with compassionate eyes. Otherwise, the Eevee would be more than happy to hug him for the rest of the eternity. The Sylveon asks Miner if he would love to play hide and seek together, but the Eevee declined the offer. Now would not be a good time for that certain game, he thought. Instead, they decided on a game of tag, and they both enjoyed themselves, laughing and giggling throughout the whole game before taking an afternoon nap, with the Eevee cuddling up to his friend and hoping never to be separated. With the Eevee cuddling up to his friend and hoping never to be separated. They both woke up in the early evening, stretching a little for their tired bones. It was warm. It was a warm, brandy night. The Sylveon looks over to his little prince and asks how he was doing, but mainly responds with an enthusiastic terrific. Tyron looks to the pond. I'm going to catch us some dinner. I'll be right back. And kisses his friend's forehead motherly before walking over to the body of water. The Eevee moves to where he can see his friend plain in sight, and having a mild case of separation anxiety. Tyron concentrates on the fish in the pond, noticing a few. He was about to pounce when suddenly they swam away frightfully. He was about to pounce when suddenly they swam away. He was about to pounce when suddenly they swam away frightfully. He looks in the water, curious of what scared them, but the next thing he saw almost made his heart stop. There was a figure beneath the ripples of water. Its skin was a pure, ghastly white color. It was white across all of its body except for its hands and eyes. Red. It was humanoid in appearance, having a feminine face except... Let's see... It was humanoid in appearance, having a feminine face, except that its mouth was locked to a broken, yawn-like... Having a feminine face, except that its mouth was locked... Having a feminine face, except that its mouth was locked into a broken, yawn-like broken jaw. Upon noticing Tyron, the figure slowly turns to him, hissing hesitantly, and reaches a cold, red arm to him. The Sylveon yelps and jumps back, with the Eevee now running in his direction, approaching his friend, his voice shakenly for fright. Are you okay? Was it interrupted by a sudden forthcoming of rain. A storm gradually grows. Loneliness's curse starts to come back. Having a friend who cared so deeply for him Having a friend who cared so deeply made him almost forget about it entirely. His left eye starts to bleed, resembling red tears. Tyron starts breathing heavily. Tyron starts breathing hard, looking around. What's going on? What's happening? He looks down at the boy. Oh my Arceus, your eye! He quickly takes a nearby leaf and starts to wipe away the blood and looking around fearfully. The Eevee doesn't seem to notice that his eye was bleeding whatsoever. And his right eye slowly starts to dilate and throb violently, as if it was about to pop out of... Okay, let's try that again. And his right eye slowly starts to dilate and throb violently, as if it was about to pop out from the pressure. The rain continues to fall. They're coming. Wait, is that Tyron or Loneliness speaking? Okay, let me think. Okay. They're coming! The older Pokemon notices Loneliness's face and became a little frightened. Okay. The older let's see. I'll just pretend that... Hang on. Oh, excuse me. Just... Okay, there we go. The older Pokemon notices Loneliness's face. Not Loneliness's, lonely. Lonely. Okay. The older Pokemon notices Loneliness's face, becoming scared of the little one. He bends down to his level. Lonely? Lonely! Please look at me, Lonely! Are you okay? And... He looks at the horrifying changes happening. Who is coming? No, wait, that's the Lonely saying they're coming. They're coming. Who's coming? Loneliness looks up at him and shakes his head at his question. No. He is not okay. He is in unbearable pain. He starts to shake and closes his eyes to try to ease the pain a bit. His left eye stops bleeding as he does. Tyron looks a bit reassuring at Tyron looks up a bit reassuring at that the Tyron looks a bit reassuring at that until the Eevee opens his eye. Tyron's jaw fell to the floor and his heart sank. The small Eevee's right eye was gone. All there was a mere empty socket, but Loneliness didn't appear to notice this change yet. His voice sounded desperate and pained, begging his petrifying friend, They want you to take me away. No, wait, that's not it. They want to take you away from me. Please, don't leave me. He pleads. Let's see, how much is there? How much is there left? Whoa. There's a whole lot left. Okay, let's see. Go back, go back, go back. Let's see. Tyron gasps at the sight of the missing eye, but it doesn't push him away. He has come to know this Eevee too well to abandon him now. He looks around, seeing nothing, getting anywhere, so he picks up the boy. No wait, that sounds bad. Seeing nothing, getting anywhere, seeing nothing, getting any better, so he picks up the boy with his ribbon. Let's try that again. Okay. Seeing nothing, getting any better, so he picks up. He looks around, seeing nothing, getting any better, so he picks up the boy with his ribbons and looks him in the singular eye. I will never leave you lonely. Never. With that, he puts the boy on his back and bolts into the woodland. If we could get to the nameless forest area, the others can help us. I bet they know what's happening to Lonely. Please concentrate. The Eevee is shaking uncontrollably. The Eevee is shaking uncontrollably, just now taking the fact that he was the lost vision. Just now taking in the fact that he has lost vision and just now taking the fact that he has lost vision in one of his eyes. He puts a paw in the right eye to He puts a paw to his right eye and tries to feel for it, only finding a hollow hole where it once was. His lone eye starts to shed His lone eye starts to shed tears. Cheers? It's not cheering. Okay. Oh, it's getting hot in here. His lone eye starts to shed tears from his loss of vision from fear. His lone eye starts to shed tears from his loss of vision and from fear. Fear for Tyron's well-being just as much as his own. He closes his eyes. And tries to explain. It all started when my trainer's Eradicate died. Then when they came to my owner. They blamed me for its death. They tricked him into leaving me, so he did. My trainer left me. He called me a curse. They possessed anyone who came in contact with me. Everybody. They are mere shadows of their former selves, but I am not a curse. He is broken by sobbing, and no longer even believing himself. I am not a curse. Tyron turns to look at the poor creature in his back. His eyes away from the path ahead of him. No, you're not. I'm getting you away from whatever the hell's going on. Anyway, blah blah. No, you're not. I'm going to get you from where... No, you're not. I'm going to get you away from whatever the hell's doing this. I will not let them hurt you anymore. He turns back around to watch where he was... He turns back around to watch where he's going, but it was too late, and ran headfirst into a tree. He falls to the ground unconscious. Conscious! He turns back around to watch where he is going, but was too late, and He turns back around to watch where he is going, but it was too late, and ran headfirst into a tree. He falls to the ground unconscious. When his mind came to, he found that Evie was shaking him, yelling at him, trying to wake him up. When his mind came to, he found that Evie was shaking him, yelling at him to try to wake him up. Tyron? Tyron! We need to leave! Wake up, please! Excuse me. His fur was now a chaotic mess, more frayed than it was before, and had many scratches and other abrasions across his thin build. His fur was now a chaotic mess, more frayed than it was before, and many scratches and other abrasions across his thin build. At this point, he was in agonizing pain. Tyron lifted his head up, swearing not convincingly to his friend that he was fine, and raised his... Tyron lifts his head up, swearing not convincingly to his friend that he was fine, and rises to his feet. He shakes his head and tries to clear away his drowsiness with some success, and takes a glimpse of the Evie, horrified. Lonely. He groans with tears in his eyes before cursing the empty, apathetic sky above him for the suffering. Lonely. He groans with tears in his eyes before cursing the empty, apathetic sky above him. Lonely. He groans with tears in his eyes before cursing at the empty, apathetic sky above him for the suffering it has brought upon this poor child. Damn you fucking bastards! He puts the boy on his back once more, but runs at a slow pace due to his drowsiness and throbbing pain in his head. Meanwhile, a cut opens on the Evie's head, practically revealing his gray matter. He holds back a scream and weeps into his friend's back in the unbearable pain. Tyron finds it hard to concentrate on his destination, as he starts to hear obscure words in his head about his friend. Monster. Killer. He tries to clear his mind on these thoughts, but found it to be no use. He looks down at his paws and gasps at He looks down at his paws and gasped at what he He looks down at his paws and gasped as he found. Let's do that again. He looks down at his paws and gasped. Okay, let's try that again. He looks down at his paws and gasped at Okay, it's going up. Let's scroll down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. He looks down at his paws and gasped as he gasped as he maybe it's because of my teeth. And gasped as he found that they had been cut. And gasped as he What is it? I'm brushing my teeth. And gasped as he found that they had become red, and he was turning into one of those things that he found earlier in the pond that day. He lets out a silent scream. Hate the monstrosity. He falls to the ground with the Eevee in front of him. Abandon him. Make him suffer. His mind screamed at him. No! The Sylveon suddenly yells out, looking at the young Pokemon. The Eevee now has his friend's attention, and looked at having a look of surprise as he found that his friend in such a state. He opens his mouth to say something, or perhaps scream. He wasn't entirely sure which, but clamped it promptly shut. Probably the more wise decision for their sake. He sobs, pulling on one of the ribbons, trying to make his friend move forward before it would be too late. You've become one of them. You need to listen to me. We need to go to the graveyard. Tyron starts to get up weakly. Where is it? He asks monotonously, concentrating every bit of willpower he has left into listening. And adoring the... Okay, let's scroll down a bit. Tyron starts to get up weakly. Where is it? He asks monotonously, concentrating every bit of willpower he has left into listening to the adoring little Eevee. Concentrating every bit of willpower he has left into listening to and adoring the Eevee. But finds it becoming harder to do so with each passing second. Loneliness looks at him woefully. He was receiving his own message. He was receiving his own messages, and now realizing what must be done. He isn't happy about it. It's in Pallet Town. We need to get to Pallet Town. The evolution nods solemnly, his color further draining, and he starts to argue internal. His color further draining, and he starts to argue internally with a voice inside his head. Leave him. No, I love him. Why? He is. Leave him. No, I love him. Why? He is a walking corpse and a murderer. He deserves no love. Everyone deserves love. His mind was starting to rip itself apart. Let's see. His mind was starting to rip itself apart in his eternal struggle and causing him pain. But he wasn't willing to give up. Lead. Hurry. Tears running down his face freely, and the Eevee started to walk to their destination. Looking back and making sure his close friend was following behind him. The rain falling harder and harder with each step towards the town. The Eevee says two cryptic words, although he wasn't sure the one saying them. Laid to rest. Galatine. Tyron looks at the boy with hazy eyes, confused to what he meant. What do you mean, Gallo? Leave him! No! He abruptly shouts, staggering behind, but keeps up with the Eevee. Not that it was hard to, since the Eevee was limping. His bright blue eyes stopped producing tears, as it now donned a crimson shade of red. They were no longer filled with passion or affection, only empathy and malice. Malice. Only apathy and malice. They finally reached the town, which saddens them even more. It was too dark for any living creature to be up this late at night. Loneliness remembers that they're... Okay, let's try that again. It was too dark for any living creature to be up this late at night. Loneliness remembers that it was here that he Loneliness remembers that it was here that he was discovered by his first trainer, given to him by a professor. He was the one chosen. He remembers. After his cousin picked out a Pikachu as a starter, his memory fades as Tyron asks him a question. Lonely? What do I do? Galatine? What do you mean? Loneliness doesn't respond to his question at first, only looking at his friend with his lasting left eye in utter silence. tears were falling at a heavy rate, gazing at his loyal friend for a while before pointing at a grave in front of them. It seemed to be new, as if it was just constructed on that spot, engraved a stone with Evie's own name, the missing E and all. He was mute for a few seconds before he spoke out in a harsh sob. They want me. Tyron was staring at the gravestone, solemnly in disbelief. Did you die? Let's see. Okay. Did you die? He manages to ask before his voice became a dark, dead tone. It wasn't his. If you did, you deserved it. He quickly looked down at the boy. No! No, I didn't mean that. I love you. It looked to cause him physical pain as he said this. Let's try that again. No! No, I didn't mean that. I love you. It looked to cause him physical pain as he said this. You... No, let's try that again. I love... It looked to cause him physical pain as he said this. You... What do I do? Please, hurry. He fell to a squat and looks down to see if there was any way out of this. If there was any chance that both of them could just walk away together freely. If all this was somehow fate. If all this was somehow fake. But he knew that there was only one way out. And that was for the Evie to simply tread forward. The Evie stares at his grave in fear of what lies beyond that simple message etched in... The Evie stares at his grave in fear of what lies beyond that simple etched in stone. The Evie stares at his grave in fear of what lies beyond that simple message etched in his stone. He didn't seem to catch the entirety of Tyron's comment, or perhaps ignored the hateful words that came out of his mouth when he knew it wasn't his. But he turned to his friend and embraces him in one last tight hug. You were the best friend I ever had. He turns, hiding tears he sheds, and walks to his tomb. Each step seemed to numb his pain as he walked closer to fulfill his destiny. Ultimatum. His ultimatum. The tomb opens to reveal an abyss void, whether it was heaven, hell, or somewhere entirely different. Neither one of them knew. nor did they question it. They knew that no matter what, they knew that no matter where it led, it was somewhere beyond this life, and that it was. They knew that no matter where it led, it was somewhere beyond this life, and that this was their farewell. Loneliness stands in front of the gaping opening and closes his eyes. Loneliness stands in front of the gaping opening and closes his eyes. Okay. Loneliness stands in front of the gaping opening and closes his eye. It was in turn followed by the sound of ripping flesh. A large slit opens his neck. He makes a small groan. He makes a small groaning noise as his head slowly. He makes a small groaning noise as his head slowly falls off clean from his shoulders and tumbles into the box, with the rest of his body soon to follow. No! Tyron howls, as if voicing his anguish. As if voicing his anguish would somehow prevent the macabre ritual to continue. The void closes as if it never existed, leaving the grave behind. On the momentum, it now reads, Loneliness. His name has been completed, with him now inside it, putting the E where it belongs. Put the E where it belongs. Tanner runs towards the grave. Tanner runs towards the grave, and soaks it with tears. He notices that he was now entirely normal, as if nothing out of the ordinary ever happened, but at the expense of someone else's life. Looking around, he saw no change in the physical world, but one less Evie on Earth. Holiness, please, come back! I want you. No, I need you with me. You were so innocent, so youthful. It's not fair. He looks up at the sky with hatred. It's not fair, you sick bastards! This time, the sky did not respond back. No, wait. Hang on a sec. Okay. Alright, there we go. This time the sky did not respond back. Somewhere, a mad snicker could be heard. A deep baritone laughter without any humor. He fell to the ground and cries for a good hour, muttering the words of love and his own misery throughout. His tears soaked the lid. Recover, he thought. The Sylveon slowly opens the cap, hoping that somehow the Eevee was merely waiting inside for him to do so. He looks down to the earthen grave. Inside lies the body of an Eevee, peacefully lifeless. It was seamlessly an act. The Eevee looked like he... Blah, blah, blah. Let's try that again. The Eevee looked like he did not... Okay. The Eevee looked like he did before the manipulations... The Eevee looked like he did before... The Eevee looked like he did before the manipulation process began. He stared down at the figure. Loneliness? But heard no response. The Eevee, the closest friend he ever had, was dead. All they could do was wish that the world beyond this... All they could do was wish... Let's try that again. All they could do was wish that... All I could do was wish that in a world beyond this stone lid, that he was no longer alone. He lies down next to the cadaver. Okay. He lies down next to the cadaver. He lies down next to the cadaver and hugged it for the last time. The limp body still had some warmth to it. You were the greatest Pokemon I ever knew, Lonely. It was my pleasure to know you while you lived. He cautiously sets the Eevee back down and closed the cover once more, with tears rolling down his cheeks. He plucks a red rose from a nearby bush and sits it on the stone. He recalls that Eevee told him when they... He recalls what the Eevee told him when they were on their fateful journey. For the record, he recalls... Wait, let's scroll down. There. He recalls what the Eevee told him, and when they were on their fateful journey. He recalls what the Eevee told him when they were on their fateful journey. For the record, you were always right. You weren't a curse. The Sylveon agrees with his now deceased friend. Give the ceremony one last glance before walking away. You were a blessing.